Hi everybody, it's Doreen, and I'm back today with a birthday card for a very close friend of mine who happens to work for the city in the DPW department, and basically he pours asphalt on the city streets to cover up the potholes that we get during the winter months because of the salt and the snow. So come on and join me, and I'll show you how I made this card. Okay everybody, so let's go ahead and get started making the card. Okay, for the base of my card itself, it measures 5.5 by 8.5, and I've taken it and scored it using my score buddy to make it a 5.5 by 4.25 inch card. And this is some craft cardstock. It's that part of the Recollections collection that you can pick up at Michael's. I've also gone ahead already and inked my edges using the Tim Holtz Distress ink, and this time I'm using the walnut stain color. So for my top layer, we're going to go ahead and add that. And my top layer is some cardstock that comes from this paper pack. It's Textured Cardstock Darks, and it's by Paper Studios, and I picked this up at Hobby Lobby. And this piece of cardstock measures 5.25 by 4, and I've also went ahead and inked my edges using the walnut stain by Tim Holtz. So let's go ahead and tape this down, and since I don't have any ribbon, I can just go ahead and tape it down. So looks like my ATG gun is almost out of tape again. We're going to go ahead and start off using it. I may have to switch over to my Tombow adhesive. So now, the other thing that I've done is I've taken my corner chomper and I've corner rounded using the 1/2 inch side just on one side of the card. And I've done the same thing for my layer that I'm going to be putting on top. So now we've got that added, and we're going to make sure we run our fingers along here to make sure it is adhered properly. And now we're ready to go ahead and add the top layer. Now my top layer measures 5 by 3 3/4, and this cardstock is by Paper Pizzazz, and I picked this up at Joann's. And I've also went ahead and inked my edges and rounded the corner on one side. So now I'm just going to lay this out to look to see where I want it. And that looks about right. So now I'm going to go ahead and tape it down. I'm going to go along my edges. And that's the last of the ATG gun, so let's pull out the Tombow adhesive. And we'll just run some down in the middle there. And then we can go ahead and add this on top of the other layers. And I'm going to lay it about right there. And run my finger along again. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add our embellishments. The first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and add my road, which I've used this before in a previous card. And I'm just going to lay it down so I can see where I want it. And I think I'm going to put it right there. Now, the road comes from the My Community cartridge, which is this cartridge right here. Or this, it looks like this, the handbook looks like this. And it is on page 39. And what I've done is I've cut out the blackout, and then I've cut the road itself. And this was cut at 1 inch high by 4 1/4. So, and then I originally cut out that 4 1/4, and then I decided I didn't want it to go all the way to the edge of the card, so I did cut it down once I laid it down to see exactly where I wanted it. So now if you're using your gypsy, that would be key number 31. Let me bring out my gypsy. And we'll go to the My Community cartridge and bring that up. Just right there. And as I said before, it is key number 31, which is this key right here. And let me zoom in so you can see that. So that would be key 31, and it looks like this. So you would cut it out that way, and then you would hit your blackout, and then you would cut again 31. And that's how you would get your road. So let me zoom back out. Okay. So let's go ahead and add the road. And another thing I did was I took my Uniball pen and went ahead and stitched along the edges there. Just put some stitching marks. So now let's go ahead and tape this down. Make sure we get the edges. And I'm going to place the road right here. And I'm not going to pop the road up because I have all my other embellishments that I'm going to go ahead and pop up. So now let's go ahead and we're going to add on the road the cones, which I'm going to put one right here. And these I have popped up with some foam tape. And I'm going to put one right there. So now, the cones are from the Everyday Paper Doll cartridge, and they are on page 62. And they look like this. Now, what I had to do with this is because the sign and cuts with the cone, I had to use my hide contour feature in order to first cut out the sign, and then I cut out 2 of the cones. And so if you were going to do that without the gypsy, you would just cut the 2 out and then just, I believe they cut separately anyway. So now, let me go ahead and show you which key that is, what you're using your gypsy. That would be key number 35. And what you're going to do is, it's under Accessories 2. So you'll have to hit Accessories 2 on your gypsy. And then you'll hit the Shift lock. And then go to key 35, which would be right here. And it looks like that. Okay. So let's go ahead and add those to the card. And like I said, I popped them up on some foam tape. And I'm going to put one right there, and then one up here in the corner. So it looks like the foam tapes come off of that one. The paper anyway, so I'm going to just take my glue gun and just put just a little bit of glue on there to hold it down. And I'm going to pop it up right there. Okay, so now the next thing I want to add is I want to go ahead and add my road sign. So since I've already cut the road sign out, when I cut the cone out, and it was cut at 2 2.5 inches. And I don't believe I said that the cones were cut at 2.5 inches, which they were. And what I did was I went ahead and I hid the cones this time and just cut out just the sign. And I used the hide contour feature to do that. And I cut it out twice because I wanted the pole part to be silver, and then I wanted the sign to be yellow. And then I just took a black permanent marker and went along the edges, and then I wrote out the word slow. And I've got that popped up on a foam square. And I'm just going to add the road sign that says slow right here. So now I'm ready to go ahead and add my construction guy. Now, I cut the construction guy out, which is also in the Everyday Paper Dolls cartridge, and I cut the shadow feature on page 1. I'm sorry, it's key 1, but it is page 28, and it's this one right here. And I always cut the black out because I like to put my own face on there rather than use the faces that come with the handout. So this was cut at, let's see, he was cut at 2.5 inches. And then I went ahead and cut out the clothes, and the clothes are on page 62. So I cut out the blackout of the coveralls, or it says construction, but they're coveralls. And I cut out under accessories 1 the shoes. I did not cut out the work belt because he doesn't wear a work belt. And I cut out the hat or the helmet, and then the hair. And each one of these was cut at 2.5 inches. Now on your gypsy, for the shirt and the coveralls, the shirt is key 35, but what you're going to do is you're going to hit the blackout feature. So you would just go ahead and cut that out using each one of those features on your gypsy, but you would use the the blackout for the shirt, the accessory 1 for the shoes, the headwear for the hair, and the headwear and the shift key for the hat. So I've already put it all together, so you wouldn't have to watch me put it together. And then I took, before I put everything on, or put the clothing on, I did go ahead and put in my own face using my Peachy Key stamps, and I used the Everyday Character Face Assortment. And these are made specifically for the Cricut Paper Doll handbook or cartridge. So I cut out the 5/8 inch face for the 2.5 inch body. And then I just took a white gel pen and colored in the eyes a little bit. So I've got him popped up on some foam squares, and I'm just going to go ahead and add him right down here. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go ahead and take my tweezers because I want to make sure I get this precisely where I want it. So I've picked up some new tweezers that are a little bit finer, and I really like these. So we're going to put him right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the shovel. And the shovel was also cut out at 2.5 inches. And I've got that popped up on some foam squares as well. And I'm going to put that right there in his hand. Except I'll straighten it out a little bit. It's kind of crooked there. I don't think I need to use these for that. Okay. So now the last thing I want to add to the front of the card is the happy birthday. And I just stamped this out on some white cardstock. And what I did was I ran this through my Big Shot, as I'm trying to use my Big Shot more since I did buy one, rather than using my Cuttlebug. And I use this label, or actually I think this is the ribbon die cut. I don't remember what size, but I think it's called the ribbon. And then I inked my edges using the walnut stain again. And I'm going to put that right up here at the top. And I've got that popped up as well on some foam tape. So let's go ahead and add that right there. So that's it for the front of the card. Now for my inside sentiment, I just got a new stamp set that was on sale at Joann's. And by the way, I've been doing pretty good staying out of the stores too, because I'm saving my money for a big craft fair rubber stamp show that's coming up in the month of May. So I picked this up with using a 40% coupon, and it's called Make-A-Wish Quotes, and it's by Fiskars. And I grabbed this because I make so many birthday cards, and sometimes I don't always want to use the sentiments that I see in the Ultimate Card book that I use, and I want to rubber stamp my sentiment, so I thought that would work great. So I've gone ahead and I used my square, classic square die. I used this size and the next size up, and I've stamped out a true friend remembers your birthday but not your age. And I'm going to go ahead and I've rounded the corners all the way around on each side using a 1/2 inch corner rounder. And I'm going to put that right there. So first of all, I need to go ahead and add my top layer to the bottom layer. And I'm just going to use my Tombow adhesive for that. And line this up. And put that down. And then I'm going to go ahead and put some tape on the bottom layer so we can add that to the inside of the card. And there you have it. So that's my construction worker birthday card for my dear friend. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.